Perfect. Thank you. Go. I see some people I recognize. Hello, everybody. How is it going? I'm going to hit the spotlight. And I know that we had some more folks sign up. I hope they're able to join us later, but I know that a lot of people are kind of like coming back from the holidays, a little crazy, holiday hangover, a little bit of just so much. I went to Alabama. It was fun. No, it wasn't. It was actually a blast. It was actually super fun. I got to go to Buc-ee's. Just like my happy place. Yeah.
And you came back with souvenirs.
So many. It was one of those where you go in and you're like, I'm going to get Christmas presents for everyone. And then I end up getting like 10 things for myself. I fail miserably at Bucky's presents every single time. Let me go ahead and open up so we don't have a waiting room. Um, Perfect. Awesome. We've got that. Good, 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 good. And all right. Go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I am so happy that everybody is here. And my name's Sara Keith. Hi, I'm the director of the Atlanta School of Photography. I am here with two amazing women who I had the absolute pleasure of getting to meet this past. Oh my gosh, was it all the way in the summer now?
hmm
What is going on with this year? It's just like, um, had the absolute honor to meet both of them at the Boca Photo Summit, which happens every year in Buckhead with an array of different photography workshops and talking about not only the techniques of photography, but also the business sides of photography. So I had my booth there, and whether it was like able to come up and meet y'all in person, or it was me going through and being like, hey, stop by my booth. I'd love to get to know you. I heard back from Angelica and Prudence, and I was like, oh, yes, let's go. I'm so excited about this because more and more and more are we getting folks interested in starting their photography business or expanding their photography business and wanting to know more of like the next steps of that. And I know that I teach this class and Casey teach, but there's only so much that we can say until it's like, you guys have heard it all before. So I am so happy to have Prudence and Angelica here to help to give some more insight on not just exclusively the starting process of photography in your business, but more of the side that I see from my students as they are starting out with not really having so much confidence when it comes to things like charging more or charging at all. Sometimes I have a student that's been with us for a year and goes, yeah, I'm still doing pictures for free. And it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. Make sure they're giving you your money. So I would love for both of you to introduce yourselves. Angelica, if you want to start, and then Prudence right after, go ahead.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Angelica Pompy. I'm a business coach and marketing strategist, and I help women grow their business without losing their mind, their time, and their magic. I have been a photographer since 2017, and I have done everything under the sun. I now have niched down to boudoir and maternity, and I have a studio here in Jacksonville, Florida. That is where I'm based out of. And I do my photography here local to me. So a lot of people come and travel to Jacksonville. I'm a full service photographer. So I provide hair and makeup, client closet, products. So I practice IPS, which is in person sales for those of you that don't know. So I do products, prints, albums, and yeah, it's a good time here. I've been in business and now I have a team that helps me run Pompey portraits. So I only shoot once a week now, which is nice. So yeah, team behind me supporting me, and I do a lot of coaching and speaking engagements.
Everything and everything, woman. We love
Thank
that.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Prudence, go for it.
So I'm Prudence Rufus. I'm actually right here in the Atlanta area. I ran a wedding and portrait photography studio for about 15 years. And I've since semi-retired. I wouldn't say it's full retirement because I still see my yearly clients. Like I have sessions all weekend this weekend for their holiday photos or for like special family moments, but I'm not actively a photographer. I've leaned back into my corporate training, corporate and academic training, which was in finance. So I went to Georgia State University, studied finance at the Robinson College of Business. It's, I think, one of the hardest degrees in the Robinson College of Business out there. But enjoy tremendously. What I get to do is to work with creative entrepreneurs and to help creatives run legal, ethical, and profitable businesses so that you can use your money to live the life that you want. And however you define that, right? Is it where you live that you define as desirable? Where your kids go to school, what you wear, what your vacations look like, what your retirement looks like. I believe that creative entrepreneurs deserve those same, I wouldn't even call them luxuries. They're just necessities of life. But I want you to run your business so that you can achieve and accomplish those things in ways that make sense for you.
I love that so much. I love you said it was like legally, ethically, and profitably.
Legal,
And it's
ethical,
like
and profitable. Yes.
that's all of those are good. All of those
Yes.
are wonderful, good things to have.
Right. And tax
So
paying, if we want to add that on.
yes, something that I was not doing for the first little bit of when I was running my business because no one told me how. And I think this is one of those businesses that doesn't have a playbook. There's not a direct pipeline of right and wrong answers to get you to a certain place. There's not certain training that you can do where you get like a certification and you go like, check, I'm good. Now put me on a list and I'm going to work now. It's so kind of uh, very moldable in different ways with like a billion different paths to choose. And I think that's one of the things with like the first question I had for y'all was that sort of talking about imposter syndrome, because there's not someone sitting there like a boss or a HR department or corporate entity or whoever to say, good job, here's a raise, well done, and letting you know if you're doing a good job or not. So I'm wondering, like, what do you think of some of the things when it comes to imposter syndrome, not only when you're just starting out, but how you maybe tackled it, experienced it, and pushed through it if you have or haven't in your career?
Mm, I'll go first. I would say, even as successful in how many years I've been in business, it still happens to me. It literally just happened recently for my Christmas mini sessions. I was like, I feel like this set is so basic, and like my clients, I always do the most, and like I do all this decked out Christmas tree every year, and I literally had to like tell myself less is more in this season. And my clients that really want this experience, they know my heart, what's behind it, and like the set is different, and just because it's different doesn't mean is lesser than. And I literally, for the first time in the last like 2 years, I sold out my mini sessions from my email list.
Oh, I love that.
And I was
Oh,
like,
yes.
oh, okay, I see you, God. Okay, okay. So then I put out a third day just for social media for people that were like
Wow.
lingering, when I thought like, oh my gosh, I normally do the most. I have like all these extra treats and things for the kids. And I literally did like candy for the kids this year as like a little surprise. And my set was three flocked like Christmas trees and a bench from Amazon. I was like, keep it simple, sis. That is my motto in my membership. And I tell people, keep it simple, sis. And I just followed my own, method. So yeah, it
I
happens.
love that because in your brain, you're constantly like, well, let me keep adding more and more and more, but you're not questioning the idea of like, well, what is that actually doing? What is
Yeah.
this more doing? And at least, like, I don't know, for me, it's that can be taking more energy and distraction away from the actual core thing that I do, which is taking the pictures. So I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm not a set designer. I'm not an interior decorator. I'm not a little bit, sure,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's not my main thing. So it's like, okay, let's start to kind of like pare it down more. And then when you see that that pays off, when you're actually able to do the work that you want to do and not have to become like 500 different things because you saw somebody else do it, which we'll also talk about a little bit later. But I love that that's, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
that it worked out. And you're like, no, see, that wasn't it. It was never
Easy.
that.
I love that. I love that. It's kind of like as a photographer, how you can take a picture, just a natural light picture, and it looks really good and your client loves it. And then you can add one light and it gives you a different look. And now all of a sudden you want to add two lights and three lights and four lights and 10 lights. Not because you couldn't capture the picture with just natural light, but because you're competing against either a version of what you want to be in the future, or you're competing with your peers, but you're
Mm,
not necessarily delivering for your clients.
mm,
Um, However, that said, I think imposter syndrome is actually a really good thing, if you lean into it, because it's the space where you know you can grow, you know you can do something different, you know you're ready to elevate, and you know you're still excited about the thing that you're still doing. When you get to a point where you're like, oh, I got this, and you just take that for granted, it can sometimes put you in a place where you stop learning, you stop trying to get better, you stop trying to be uh, innovative around what it is that you do. So I would say use imposter syndrome as fuel to
Mm.
grow. And if you don't have imposter syndrome, then maybe you need to rethink like why you're doing the thing and reset your intention for what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're trying to capture. But imposter syndrome, we all have it. If you don't have it, I think that that's actually more scary for me than somebody who does have it.
Mm.
I love that. Yeah.
So good.
Oh,
So good.
absolutely. Yeah. It's like all the clicking step. Yes, 100%. Because it's, and I think that when you get to a certain point in your career, you kind of go through those waves
Mhm.
of where you hit a point where you go, I got this. And then all of a sudden you kind of start to see those gigs falling off
Mhm.
and someone else sort of coming in to replace. And it's like, oh God, I wasn't keeping up. I wasn't paying attention. I
Yeah.
wasn't doing the things that I probably should have and needed to be doing and to get to the point that I want to go to, or potentially reevaluating and going, is that something that I'm actually interested in doing and making money from?
Correct. Yeah.
So
And that
finding
might be
those,
the
yeah,
answer. It might be
yeah,
that your season with this particular thing is done. Like my season with newborns is done. I'm good with that.
mhm,
Like
yep,
Mm.
I'm
yep.
good.
That was me
Um,
with videography. I was like, I can't be a one person crew that is doing all this lighting and audio and edit and the editing processes
mhm.
where you have kids now that are going on CapCut and making something like 10 times more exciting than I could do in a million years. So at a certain
Yeah.
point, I just had to go, I'm not super interested in keeping up with
Yeah.
as 500
And you're
different things
good.
that's happening. And I'm like, that's fine. That's
And
fine.
you're
Let me
good.
direct the energy to somewhere else.
Yeah. So yeah, imposter syndrome can be a good thing. I think it is a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. Yeah.
I like it where it's like just kind of reframing a little bit. So,
Yeah.
and I was going to say, I think part of it kind of can also come from the comparisons that we're seeing
Mhm.
and how much harder that is now with social media, especially over the last like decade, completely taking over, where used to just be like, hey, kind of check this out. Now it's like, how many followers do you have? Are you certified? Or do you have the blue check mark? Or
Mhm.
like any of those little pieces where, to what extent do y'all find where the healthy comparison starts and the maybe wondering who I should actually be following and comparing myself to should start, like, kind of at what point does it become unhealthy
Where's the
and
balance?
toting that line? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's something that should ebb and flow. At least for me, it ebbs and flows, right? There are seasons where I want to see what other people like me are producing. I want to see what are they talking about? How are they approaching this particular subject? And then there are other seasons where I have to check myself like, oh no, this person is 10 steps ahead of you or 5 steps behind you, or they target a different audience, or they have different responsibilities in life, or they just do things differently. So I think yes, social media does put us in a place where we compare ourselves to one another, but we don't know what journey that person's on, and we don't know what journey we're on. It comes up a lot when like somebody has a lead magnet, right? And so you're like, well, I'm going to create a lead magnet just like that. Or somebody puts out their mini session pricing, and you're like, well, I'm going to create mini sessions with the same pricing and the same offers and a similar set and all of that. But you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Like, you don't know who they're serving. You don't know why they're in the studio that they are. You don't know what the sequence of follow up is. So they're offering mini sessions for $75. Okay, great. But you don't know whether their end goal is to close a $1,500 mini session. So you've just sold your session for $75 just because you've seen that that's what they do. But you don't know that at the end, they walk away with a $3,000 check from that $75 entrance. So I think it can be inspirational to look at other people's social media, but you also have to be, whenever you feel like the little tingles, I think you also have to decidedly say, I'm turning that off. And if it means you have to mute somebody or unfollow them or stay off social media for a while, I think it's important for you to be in tune with where you are and your intention when you look at other people's stuff and begin to compare that to where you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think to echo that, at the end of the day, you have to remember you are the secret sauce to your business. So, like, no matter how many times somebody else can do the same thing as you, they're not you at the end of the day. And that's what makes you your business. And I think that's, as a photographer, we tend to forget that's our superpower. We have a personal brand and we get to show up as our authentic selves. We are attracting our own clients. So, I could do literally the same exact business model as somebody else, but because of where I am, who I serve, it's going to be a totally different experience. And because I'm bringing something different to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll add to that. So I talk to people about the money in their business, like what that looks like. We're looking at how much you have bringing in, how much you're spending, what your profit is. And there's a lot of conversation around photographers, especially when they hit the six figures and they're like, oh, I'm a six-figure photographer. You've made six figures, but you're profiting $2,000. That's not even enough to pay yourself. You can't do anything with that. So let's reevaluate your business. To tie in social media with that, there's often this like perception of like the number of followers means that your business is growing. But there are so many photographers with high follower count and low revenue, or low follow account and really high revenue. They know who their market is, they know who they're targeting, and they know how to reach their customers. It's what happens for me at the end of the day in your bank account, and how are you using that money to live the life that you want, more so than what shows up on social media. Social media is important, yes, but it shouldn't be the driving force in how you calculate your worth.
Yeah. I think that a lot of the times when we look at things like that, there is like this mental equivalent of like, oh, they have 100,000 followers. They must be doing amazing. When, yeah, it's like you can attest if you looked at the books, maybe, ooh, not so much.
They had one session last month and they got
Show me the receipts,
$400.
babe. You see those
Right.
receipts.
Yeah.
Exactly. And where in other times you've seen, there are some photographers who I know who maybe post on Instagram if they remember, like once a week or once a month, and they're making enough money to be able to provide for their entire family. So, and like their husband has retired and is like, I don't need to do this. I can just stay home and watch the kids, because they're making enough money. Because depending on what it is that they do, it's so different. I have a lot of students that will come in and be really concerned and say, like, why didn't I get any likes on this picture? Or why did this person get more likes and they didn't? And the example that I really like to give them is one of our instructors, Jay. He has his photography account where he's taking pictures of really beautiful female models. That's all he does, just really pretty female models. Jay's going to have a lot of followers because his reach is going pretty far. People like pretty pictures of pretty ladies. And so that's going to have a larger, wider circulation audience and a wider following than my student who's sitting there going like, I like to take pictures of leaves. And it's like, that's going to be a more niche audience right there. So, excuse me. That's kind of the difference of going also when it's like that comparison. It's like, as you're saying, Prudence, where it's like, it's not fair to compare yourself to somebody that's doing something wildly outside of what it is that you're doing in your space. So kind of niching it down to those different areas of photography, I think can be really important, and saying like, okay, what is a direct comparison versus like a wildly different comparison?
Yeah. It also looks different if you're looking at somebody, let's say like Jerry Gionis, right? Jerry Gionis has a wide following of people all over the globe. Angelica is looking for people in Jacksonville or willing to come to Jacksonville. Like those are two different markets for what it is that they both do, and they both serve photographers in similar ways yet very different ways. So it looks different. So I think we should compare ourselves to the version of ourselves that showed up yesterday, and the version of ourselves that we're aiming for tomorrow, and watch our own growth.
I love that. Where I do that with a lot of my students, where they start to get really frustrated and going like, no, I don't know if I'm doing as well as I should right now. And I'm like, take a snapshot of what it was a year ago.
Right.
Casey, who shares an office with me, excuse me, she does something kind of similar where like she, for one, did the scariest thing in the world where she would keep all of her finances in a single journal, handwritten. Don't do that.
Well, there are plenty of people who've passed audits with handwritten financial records. So there's nothing wrong with it as long as it's safe and accurate.
I think the safety part, because I'm super clumsy. So I just go, it's going to be in a puddle. It's going to end up in a puddle. And then that will be the day that the IRS audits me. The day that that journal goes into a puddle is the day that the IRS sends me an audit notice. Like 100%. That's exactly what's happening. So it just scared me. I was like, take a picture of the page, put it somewhere. But it was like how she was able to look back at those years and see that profit growth where it feels really small when we're doing a day to day in the moment. And again, there's no one to like pat you on the back and say, good job. You're just kind of doing it yourself. So having that bit of reflection, I think helps immensely. And kind of speaking on that note of like, of looking back and going, that was a bad idea. There's moments that I go back to of things that I spent money on at the start of my business where I was like 100%, this is going to be great. It would be a perfect investment right now. Big flop. When there were other things that I spent my money on where it's like, I probably should have actually invested more on that side. So I don't know if y'all have like stories of personal stories or client stories or things like that of like what went right, what went wrong in terms of like investing your money into different spaces.
Yeah, I'll speak on my experience that I had as an educator. As somebody was like, I see my peers use these people. I didn't ask the right clarifying questions. And when I hired this group to do like copywriting for me and all of this, it looked like it was just copy and paste. And it was like $8,900. I will never get back again. I was like so upset with myself and upset with the scenario, but I couldn't be mad at anyone but myself because I didn't ask the right questions and I didn't give them the exact direction that I wanted. I just assumed like, hey, this is the thing I want to launch. Write the copy, get the launch emails, put everything in the system. I trust you. And then I come back and I was like, this doesn't look like me, doesn't sound like me. And I didn't give that direction. And I was like, okay, well, before I invest a single dollar, anything that I need to make sure I articulate very clearly what is it that I want? What is the transformation that I want from this experience? And I think that goes to say like the same thing with our clients for photography, like being very clear, like you're taking their money, what is included in this experience? And making sure that's clear to them because that feeling is not a good feeling. And I haven't had that feeling in quite a time. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money down the toilet. It's fine. Everything's fine. Is what I tell myself. So yeah, that was a recent experience about a year and a half ago that happened. And I was like, okay, yeah, hold on. Pump the brakes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you haven't, if that hasn't happened to you where you've invested in something and it not turned out well, you haven't been in business long enough or you're not taking enough risks. Like it's bound to happen in business. That's the honest truth. There are things you're going to invest in big and small where you're going to look back and say I should have invested more, or you're going to say I this was a failure. And sometimes the I should have invested more is about your own personal investment. So you'll buy into something and realize that you don't have the time to invest in it to make it what it should be. Or sometime you'll invest in something and realize that the instructor doesn't have the nuanced skills to be able to deliver what it is that you want. I don't know that there's a way to avoid it entirely. I don't think there's a way to avoid it entirely. I think you can do your due diligence, you can read reviews, but reviews can be manipulated. I think some of it is you have to trust your gut. And that sounds really like pie in the sky, kind of like wonky. But the things that I know that I've invested in that were not the right investment for me, if I look back and I'm really honest with myself, I knew before I got on that sales call that I should not have invested in this thing, but I got swindled by the sales call.
Mm.
Mhm.
If I'm
Yeah.
truly deeply honest with myself, I knew that it just wasn't right for me. And that not necessarily mean that there was a thing with the instructor. There was a program that I was in. The program was like $500 a month. And it was targeted at like building your group offer, right?
Mm.
And there were people who went through the program and did really, really well. What I know behind the scenes is that there were more people who went through the program who did not accomplish what it is that they wanted to accomplish. And I was one of the people that did not accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, but I can't blame the instructor. I can say that I knew that I wasn't ready for what the instructor was offering. And I needed to do more work before I even signed up for the program.
Yeah, I think things like that are so important of it's so hard at the beginning. I mean, even as we're going on, I should say it's like I've been doing this for 15 years and I still find it hard to trust my gut sometimes. And but the only reason that my gut has somewhat like solidified is because of those bad experiences and because of those like, yeah, in the moment sort of like tactics of some dude in your face going, you need this printer. And I'm like, yeah, I totally need that printer. Absolutely. And I never use it again in my life. Or it's like, we need to redo your entire like platform system. I think that happened to us once when I first started the school and they switched everything over. And it was the same thing. I didn't ask the right questions and they switched everything over to Microsoft. And I was like, we use Mac. We always use Mac. We're photographers with Photoshop and all these other things. It's like we're just a Mac. And they were like, "Oh, sorry, we don't offer for Mac." And I'd signed a
Right.
year-long contract
Mm.
to have their services. It was an absolute nightmare. And I think part of it was it's like, yeah, I can't necessarily blame them because I didn't ask the right questions. I wasn't there and present enough and also knowing what it is that I even want. So I think that that can happen a lot of the time when we go and we spend this large chunk of money is we're handing it off to somebody going, fix it, fix my problem,
Mhm.
magically make it happen. And then they're looking at you like, yeah, I'll take your money, I'll do whatever. But really what it should be is like, here is my specific problem that I have. Here's where I want it to go. Are you the right person with this immense amount of money that I'm giving you? Rather than just kind of throwing money at the wall and hoping that it'll be like the savior of your business and the next amazing thing that'll happen.
That
Because
is always a red flag. If you're throwing money at the wall and say, "Hey, somebody just fix this," that's always a red flag, especially for me in the finance space, because my theory is if something goes wrong with the finances of your business, the accountant, the tax person, the fiduciaries, the financial fiduciaries that you put in charge might have a fine, they might pull their credentials, they might go to jail. But the bulk of the punishment comes to the business owner. So they get the longer jail sentence. They have to pay the fines and the penalties, and they still have to survive. So when it comes to the money of your business, don't ever just hand it over. Yes, there are parts of it that you will allow someone to manage for you. But if it doesn't make sense to you, go to somebody else that it makes sense to. There are people who come to me not because they don't have a CPA, but because they didn't understand what the CPA said to them. And they needed an interpreter that could speak creative language.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's good.
absolutely. I think that that it can be one of those things where I think I didn't know that how many people were out there that could help me. Also, I didn't know that there were as many resources that I could use when I was starting out. I thought it was like a very narrow perspective of being like, well, mom said you'd this guy. It's like, well,
Mm.
that guy for my account does accounting for like a hardware store. He has no idea what I need and what I'm talking about. And it was the same way with like any other thing that we're going about with a lot of our business minded things. So it might be someone that approaches you with something. And if you feel like I always have the problem where it's like, I don't want to be mean. So I don't want to say no, and I don't want to hurt their feelings, and I don't want it to be like awkward and confrontational or anything. So I think that some of the times it can be where instead just being able to say, "Hey, I really appreciate you. I love what you're doing. Thank you so much for your time, but it's just not right for what I need right now." And kind of taking that on, it's like putting, so when thinking of whether it's that confidence aspect in the business or the finances in the business, how hard do you see it? I'm going to say, like, especially with women putting themselves first, whether it's their time, their money, or their energy. It's like, where do you see those pitfalls happening with making sure that they're putting themselves first? And what advice would you give for to make sure that they are, and kind of checking in?
I have a lot to say about that. I see it from both ends. From the client perspective, because I serve women in boudoir. As women, just in general, they don't ever put themselves first. They're always the last to get whatever's left. And I think, at the end of the day, as a business owner, you have to think, what is your why behind your business? Is it going to serve you? Has your business shifted in a way where it doesn't serve you anymore? Do you need to rebrand? Do you need to figure out what's a new niche for you that's going to serve you better? It doesn't happen enough where women put themselves first. And I just think, as a society, we can change that narrative. So I tell my girls, my women that I coach, I'm like, stand on business, like use your voice. It's powerful. And like, you built this business, you can build this brand to be whatever you want it to be. You have that choice and you have the options to do this. And there's, like you said, there's so many resources out there. Closed mouths don't get fed. So ask if you need help.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer in that. Women make up 51% of the population. So we are very, very powerful. And our spending power is larger than men's because we buy more things. Um, and so when it comes to money and women, I think we actually owe ourselves the gift of understanding what our money can do for us and to feel empowered about making financial decisions, both in terms of spending as well as in terms of income. If you go to, I've done tons of sales classes. I used to sell all the finance products. And there's a gender bias in the way a man sells to a woman that uses the psychology of the way women like to please to get a yes. Um, and if you're ever in a space, most women can attest to being in a space where you're talking to a really good salesperson that you know is a little bit sleazy and they just won't let you leave. They just like hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering. And if you stand up for yourself and they begin to realize that you know money and you can hit them back with the conversations, it's quite alarming how they change. Recently, my husband and I were meeting with a new financial advisor. And for the first couple of meetings, I wasn't able to be there, right? We both have finance degrees, by the way, right? I wasn't able to be there. And so my husband went to the first couple of meetings. Well, the last meeting where we were actually making decision, that's the meeting that I was there. And they they were like, "Oh, she knows what she's talking about." It was quite it was quite a thing because they were presenting options to us and that I questioned whether those were the right options. So here's what I say. If you are entering into a financial decision, and the truth is we're in financial decisions all day long, every day. And if you need to take a pause to think about it, take a pause to think about it. There's a big conversation going around in the business world saying money loves speed, business decisions love speed. Yes, that's true, but bad decisions also love speed. And if the way you process financial decisions means that you need to take a moment to process it, even if it's just to Google it or to ask Chat GPT or to sit and think about it or to call a friend or whatever way you need to process the decision, and then decide if that's the most powerful decision for you. Then decide what's your intention behind it. Then decide whether this is a good use of your money to live the life that you want. That said, women tend to look for ways where we can serve other people, and we don't do a good enough job of being served. So something as simple as sending your laundry out. Last week, I said, I am not doing laundry this week. So I packed up my little laundry, put it outside, and paid $50. That's all it costs to get the laundry done for the entire household. That means for Thanksgiving week, there was no laundry to be done. And I'm sitting around saying, why don't I just do this every week? Like,
I do.
I can afford
I
it.
do. I literally went
Yeah.
out today, every Monday.
Yeah. And I go through seasons where I'll do it every week, but I'm like, and then there's some seasons where I'm like, no, I just want to do the laundry myself. Why would I ever say that? Like, ever?
Exactly. It's like just these like little things to, because there's still somewhere in the back of your brain that
Yeah.
goes, if you don't, then you're not
Not
doing it
enough.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those small things that we have and those thoughts that seep in are not, they aren't separate from your day-to-day life to your business life. That
No, they're
doesn't
not.
stop. Like there's not a wall between those two different thought processes. So if you're going throughout your day-to-day life going, man, I'd be really lazy if I got Instacart, you're doing the same thing in your business of going, man, I'd be really lazy if I didn't do my own taxes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
There's somebody else. There's somebody else who can do it.
Yes.
There's somebody else who can take it, and there's somebody else who can handle it. Now,
Yeah.
it's like don't let it go absolutely totally bonkers, and make sure you're checking your bank account to be sure that you're not
So you can
grub
afford
hubbing
it.
$1,000 a week. But but I mean, if you
Right.
could afford it, go for it. That's the dream,
Yeah.
baby. $1,000 grub hub a week. If I could, whoo, that'd be the best. That'd be amazing. But
But sometimes you want to cook because maybe you might enjoy cooking this week.
exactly. So it's allowing yourself, especially when you're running your own business, where so not only is there not that mental wall, there's usually not that boundary between your personal life and your business life. So you're kind of on the clock 24/7. And this is like one of the things when someone starts to have interest in becoming a photographer, where I let them know to go like, hey, by the way, there's not going to be a lot of like downtime where it's like, of course, there's going to be moments where you can turn your cell phone off, but there's going to be emergencies. There's going to be days you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. There's going to be days or hours of moments in your life where you're going to have to make really hard decisions of where to be and what to do. So it's like when all of that is piled up on top of it, and speaking personally for myself, I'm neurodivergent and I have a chronic illness. So having like the certain number of energy points, almost like a video game that I have per day is a little bit less than most
Mhm.
people's, and using those energy points accordingly and purposefully. And sometimes that might be looking at it going like, nope, I do not have the energy point today for grocery shopping. It's just
Yeah.
not going to happen. I'm going
Just
to tap a couple things on an app that are already in there and basically repeat my order from last time and say, please show up at my door. I will give you even more money if you want to put it away in my fridge for me. For the love of God, somebody include that
yeah.
service. I would
There's a
kill
there's a
for
book
it.
I read probably last year, maybe early this year. And it was like How to Keep House While Drowning.
Mm.
And it was such a cool book. Well, read, I should say, listened to. But one of the things they said, if you have to run the dishwasher twice, run it twice, right? Like, so the dishwasher has run and you've used 12 of the cups, but you still have dishes in the sink. Just load it again and let it go again. Don't even bother emptying it. But I think like little things like that, like add to the quality of our life as women, instead of like looking for like the perfect way to do it, like the June Cleaver way to do it. Sometimes just
Because especially in this industry, there's not a perfect way.
there's
There's not a
not.
perfect way to do it. If you're looking for it, if you're looking for the playbook, if you're looking for the checklist, it's not, it doesn't exist. It's like there are things that we can say, like we're doing here, and that we can help you, but you're experiencing your journey of photographer is your own. And however you make that happen, that's just what it is. But Sonia had asked, I like this question because it kind of goes a little bit into that. It's like, how do you handle negative reviews? If you've ever gotten any, because we're perfect. I don't know what anybody's I've never gotten a negative review in my life. No,
So I
just
will
kidding.
say this. I have 100. I just went and looked when she asked because I was curious. Out of 198 reviews, I have 197 5-star and one star. And when I got that one star, I will never forget. I was so unwell. I was like, okay, let's pause and let's figure out where in this client journey did the ball drop for that client, and what can I take away as a learning lesson. And so I got this 1-star review, and she basically was saying like she felt pressure to buy and didn't understand the pricing. And that wasn't anything I didn't do, because I had 4 talking points before she said yes to buying. It was she didn't read her contract. She didn't read the proposal. She didn't look over the prep guide that I sent over. I literally so many touch points. So there wasn't anything that I could do to make the scenario better. And I went back in the review and I asked her, like, if there's anything that you can give me as feedback to make this experience better for the next person, please send us an email. And she didn't, of course. But I mean, I literally just took that as a learning lesson. And then hindsight, I was like, I need to go deeper. Let me go look deeper into this client. This person that booked us wasn't an ideal client. She wanted digitals. That should have been my red flag number one. And this was a couple years ago where I was kind of shifting completely out of digitals. And I was like, okay, I should have known, like, her investing into product probably wouldn't have been a good fit. And I should have expressed that to her, telling her, like, hey, we are full service. 90% of our clients do print with us. And at that time, that wasn't part of my consultation calls. And so that was number one. She wasn't an ideal client for us. I wrote a response to her Google review on the public platform because people can see that. And I mean, after that, we just kind of left ties. I did take her off my email list because I didn't want to piss her off more. So I was like, I took her off my email list, but I mean, we follow each other on social media still. And I just kind of kept things, kind of neutral. But yeah, that was my experience with that.
Yeah. I haven't gotten a negative review publicly. What I hope happens for most people is that if someone has a negative review, they will have the audacity, the courageous audacity to have the conversation with me that their experience isn't going well, right? But
Yes.
that I can't control whether someone does or doesn't. But I would handle it just the same way you did, Angelica. Yes, I would freak out like, oh my God, like, my reputation's trash now. So here we go. I probably use ChatGPT to help me craft a response, craft a loving, empathetic response to said person, ask for strategies to shift, and then also use that as a triggering point to say, okay, there's something in my execution that needs to shift to avoid this kind of pain ever again. But the truth is that just like failed money decisions, if you're in business long enough, you will get people who are dissatisfied with your service. And some of them will write reviews that are public for other people to see. Most people will take it on the chin and move forward. And some people will have the conversation with you. But if they write it, it then becomes a public record that you now need to counteract.
Yeah, it's fascinating at least with the school, we have 2 different review sections where we're like, hey, if you loved your experience, write us a 5-star review on Google. We really appreciate it. As a small business, this is a huge help. So we actively ask for people for reviews, and we're out there and it's very public. I watch enough Judge Judy to know that Judge Judy will say, if you put your business on the internet's going to respond. So
Just like her too.
I love her so much. God, it's really my favorite. So it's like that's going to happen every once in a while. And a lot of the times when on the public platform, when we get those negative reviews, it's someone who we kind of found that just was never going to be really that happy in the first place. There was nothing that I could have done to give them a kind of like you're saying, Angelica, where it's just like, there's nothing I could have done to give them a better situation, like a better outcome. They were just there to be upset. They were just there to be upset and have their moment and then have their little yeah. And I'm like, that's fine. But of course it gets into your head and you go, and I'm crying to my husband going like, I can't believe they said that about me when I tried so hard and everyone else had a good time. And he said, but everyone else had a good time. Yeah. So it's kind of reminding that. But here's what's really interesting is that we also do reviews that are a little bit more specific and go directly to me. So we also have like a follow-up to say like, hey, if you didn't enjoy, or if you have things that you would like to add or change or make a comment on, have our internal, we have it through SurveyMonkey and how we have like an internal review system here. So I really advocate having both of those because people are much more likely to be honest with you if it is a direct one, because a lot of the times I've done this before where say like maybe I didn't have the best experience but they were really nice and I don't want to say anything about it like publicly I don't want to go straight to exactly like you're saying, Prudence, where it's like have the audacity to come to me and say something. I want to give them the opportunity to do that first, and that's where a lot of those nitty gritty changes we found over time to be able to make in terms of like our process and communication and those types of things. So that might be something it's like not necessarily going directly towards the Google reviews and having that be the only option, but also them being able to give you their feedback, especially when you're starting out and they're hopefully get some honest people too.
Yeah, I like that because I've done versions of that. Yeah. But I really like systemizing it. That's a good idea.
It's been a big help. It's been a big help. And then we can take that data and put it into something like ChatGPT or the AI systems that are with it to be able to kind of give us, so I'm not having to go through it and have it spit that information and data out for me. Vanita asked a great question. Hi, Vanita. It's good to see you. When you first started your business, what systems help you get your first consistent clients? Networking, platforms, ads, or partnerships?
CRM. I'm like, I needed to have that. I wish I did that. I waited a year and I wish I would have done it from day one. And having a CRM, so a client relationship management system. And I use Sprout. It's an all-in-one system. So it has gallery delivery, invoicing, contracts. And if you guys would like more information on that, just send me a DM. I can show you like a video behind the scenes of how mine is set up. But it literally is like a one place hub to just know and keep track of everything. Trying to keep track of everything here in your head is impossible. Like life and like a one mishap or one miscommunication can cause that bad review. And that, which is, I think, why my reviews have been so great, because everything has been so over communicated to my clients. There's never a wondering mind of like what's next in their photography experience. And your workflow per se, like that client experience will develop over time. But having that one place to have everything for me was like a must. I needed to know how much money I made. My CRM would tell me. Like that was like the main thing that I started with. I started with QuickBooks first for the money, and then the CRM. Like QuickBooks was day one for sure.
QuickBooks is nice to have.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. My first investment was actually not in a CRM, but that was my second investment because I was running my business out of Gmail, photosbypru@gmail.com, which still works, by the way. But no, I invested in a gallery delivery service, which was Shootproof. And back then, the only thing Shootproof did was deliver images. That was the first thing that I did because I started back when people were delivering images on a CD. Still have some CDs somewhere around here, right? Like you print the CD and then you print the little round thing. And
cover.
And then you put it on and you give it to somebody and you feel
design it in Photoshop.
Like making an album cover for someone.
Are we aging ourselves here, guys?
Okay. Oh my God. I forgot
Right.
about that. Oh, and then the game changer that was when you could burn how it looked on the CD
Yes,
itself.
onto the
Oh,
CD. Oh, I was like, yeah. So, so yeah. So then I moved to Shootproof, which I still use Shootproof. Shootproof has been wonderfully tremendous for me. And I've even taught some finance classes to photographers on Shootproof that are there. But I started to deliver my galleries in Shootproof. And so I shifted the experience that my clients had to Shootproof, and then I could do mobile apps, and they felt like really special. Like I mean, there's a client that when she shows me her phone, she shows me like all the years of mobile apps that she has from so that was wonderful. And then my second investment was with 17 Hats, which is a CRM. Shootproof now has CRM capabilities in there, but as your business expands, you're going to need a dedicated CRM, and just using a gallery service like Shootproof that does CRM doesn't work. I do have many photography clients that are Sprout Studio clients that really love the expansiveness of Sprout Studio. I have continued to love my 17 hats, and I've continued to love Shootproof, and I speak proudly for both of those brands on a regular basis, and love using both of those brands. They have been phenomenal. Both of those brands integrate with each other too as well. QuickBooks is I actually, unless you're opening a studio, as in like a physical studio with a space, most people who are starting out in photography don't necessarily need QuickBooks right up front. You need pen and paper or a good spreadsheet. And when you have exhausted that and your business is busy, then you need to shift to something that's more automated, to make it less hands-on. But as I said earlier, many people have passed an audit with pen and paper journals. So while very few of us would ever do that, a good spreadsheet can still do its job. But that would be the other thing that would be important, is to keep track of how much money you're bringing in and how much money you're spending.
mhm. Yeah, I use Shootproof as well, and Airtable is my other favorite. It's free. It's basically like um, Excel spreadsheets with superpowers,
Yeah.
and has like an AI baked into it, which is really nice. So you can play around and expand the data a lot more. So I love between those two and things not just existing in my email, because I'm like, oh, maybe it's not up here, it's in my email.
Right.
Don't worry, I've got it in my email. But then I forget that email, and that email gets lost, and
That
then it's
part.
gone forever. And then there's just money gone because I forgot to respond to a single email,
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars because I forgot to respond to an email.
Yeah. I have a
That's tragic.
client right now that literally makes hundreds of thousands of dollars and does not have a CRM and runs her business through her email.
Wow.
And her brain must be built differently than mine
Yeah,
because
that's got to be it.
he is able
There's
to
no way.
recall details about her clients that's just phenomenal. But what a CRM does, it allows you to, for those of you who don't have a CRM, like it allows you to have like a little corner of the internet that has all the notes and metrics about a person. So if Angelica is your client, there's a little folder with her name, her address, her birthday, her email address, whatever it is, when she came to you, whether she had 4 sessions over the last 10 years or just two, how much she paid for each session, and any other random notes you want to put in there. And then each person gets their own little corner. So when your client comes to you and said, okay, so what did we do last year? You can just pull up their information and like it's all right there, rather than in your Gmail, there's like 10 million other things in there, including your Netflix subscriptions and those 6-digit codes you need to get into something. Like it's so much cleaner to have a CRM, like
Mhm.
hugely cleaner.
Oh, absolutely. Just like immensely, ridiculously, stupidly helpful to the
Yeah,
point where you reuse it enough and you're like, how did I do without?
I can't.
No
Unwhelmed.
idea. I love this question from Vanita. If you had to restart your business today from zero, what would you do in the first 60 days?
I would do exactly what I did. I built my portfolio. I networked. I networked and I networked. I had a personal goal of getting into 2 rooms a month, two different rooms. And I would volunteer my services with like mom groups because that was at the time I was serving newborns and maternity and families. I literally got my name out there. My name was dropped in rooms I've never stepped foot in. And then by year 2 of my business, I had hit 6 figures. I didn't have a fancy website. I didn't have a fancy business card. I literally networked, built my portfolio on Instagram, had a link for people to book and pay, and that's it. Literally, I just did that full fledged for 2 solid years before I invested my money back into a website and all of that.
People buy from people they can see and people they like. So if you don't put yourself out there, they don't know you exist. So the question is, how many places can you or do you want to put yourself out there? Simply creating an Instagram profile is not putting yourself out there. You have to do much more than that. And you decide whether that looks like in-person connections or whether that looks like virtual connections. And that also changes based on what it is that you're trying to market. So if you're looking for newborns, then go into mom groups. If you're doing families, then you're going into mom groups. And that could be mom groups face to face, or that could be mom groups in person. I find that I am more effective in person. So I've got a lot of mom friends, right? And that would be where I started and where I thrived. Sonia asked how many free photos you would do when volunteering. Free photos are a tricky thing because you're not doing them for money, but you sometimes want them to eventually pay you. And so once they've gotten used to accepting free services from you, they're usually not willing to pay. So it's a tricky thing when you're networking to decide how you're going to give, if you're going to give, and who you're going to give to. You have to be really clear about what your intention is. I keep saying that over and over again. But like whenever you enter into something, like be really clear about what your intention is and enter the engagement with that intention very, very clear. So if you're photographing something for free, what are you getting out of it? Are you getting portfolio work? Because sometimes you do a session for free simply because you want to experiment with lighting, or you need more images in your portfolio, or you haven't shot in a while and so you just need practice, or you have a new camera, a new lens, and you want to play with it. But be really clear about what you're getting out of it, not just what you're giving to it. Both are important.
In those free sessions, um, I think the volunteering part is the win-win. A lot of the times whenever I would do free sessions, it was for a nonprofit organization or working directly like in conjunction with a nonprofit. So it does two things, which is like, I guess three. It builds my portfolio. Fantastic. It is great for social media to not only have more pictures portfolio, but say like, this is a cause that I'm very passionate about and will dedicate my time for, and also helps them out. A lot of nonprofit organizations need photographers. When I was doing pet photography, when I first started, it was going to shelters and taking pictures of the dogs and the cats there and using those photos as ones, and not only using those photos, but harnessing my skills there in real time. Because if I can take a cute picture of a dog surrounded by like a cage, I'm going to take amazing pictures of your dog. I can promise that. So, excuse me. I'm getting over the last day of the cold and it needs to leave my body. Yeah. Goodness. So I think it's finding those spaces is a huge advantage. Yeah.
I was going to say too, what I did for like nonprofit work and volunteer was ask for people's email. So like when they wanted to get access to the photos, sure, but I need to get your email, and they're consenting to join your email list when they opt in. And so that's how I grew my email list rather quickly at these nonprofits. I would do volunteer work for a breast cancer awareness organization here in town. I mean, I'm talking hundreds of people. And I'm like, well, you got to want the photos. All you have to do is put in your name and your email, and you can get access to the photos. And I just, let the coordinator know of the event. That's how people will retrieve them. She was like, I don't care. Like for them, it's a win. They're getting it. But for me, I get to grow my email list, which was something that I wish I would have done sooner is email marketing. And so now I do email marketing. That's how I sell out. I just explained earlier, like my mini sessions, I sold out of my mini sessions now. So email marketing has a lot of power.
It does. It does.
And that's something that gets folded in with those CRM systems.
Yeah.
So once you get one of those, like I've gone back through emails of clients that I worked with last year on very small, like photo shoots that I would do. And recently just built a ton of pitch decks for larger photo shoot ideas with like a greater concept and hair and makeup and the whole day photo shoot experience sort of thing. So I get really excited about that. And if it wasn't for that CRM of like, who did I all take pictures for? Even if it was like for a third party client, being able to go back and be like, oh yeah, that'd be really fun to work with them again. Like outside of a 15-minute photo, like bang, bang photo shoot. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love both of your approaches, but yeah, you're right. You show up to a place, you're looking for newborns, but you're not photographing the newborns. You're just collecting their email addresses and just showing up at the event. But that would be different than a shoot where you're looking for content, like portfolio work.
Yeah, which I teach on model calls, like model calls to grow your portfolio for something specific. I actually just launched one for my new studio space that we moved into. And our model call last year, we generated $57,000. So like you are, for your exchange, for your time, you get a print credit, but there's no way someone's going to come and do a whole photography experience and just buy 2 digitals. No way. Like,
Right.
so like at the end of the day, they're in for like the experience of getting like photos in our new space, new poses, all these things. And they're going to invest more than the 2 digitals. And so that's a model that I teach in like VIP days where people want to learn about model calls and how to make them profitable. It's very lucrative. I do 2 model calls a year, different components. Last year we did for couples boudoir. And then this round is for a new studio space. So there is a way to build your portfolio, but not fully give away it all. Don't be a gallery giver.
I love it.
I'm going to need to talk to you about that.
I love that.
Because I'm starting to do more flying dress photography. It's so much fun. It's so much fun and so magical, but it's like, it's also a big production. It's a huge thing. And I need more models. I need more dresses. I need the whole 9 yards. So
yeah. If anybody has a message or question about that, feel free to message me. I'm gonna drop my Instagram here in the chat for you guys.
Perfect. Yeah, go ahead, put your Instagrams in the chat. And I know we've run just like a little bit over. So when you put those in there, and I'm gonna send this as a recording follow-up to everyone on the list. We've got workshops coming up with Angelica's. I literally just posted it today for y'all. First dibs, yay. So if you're interested in doing maternity, sign up for this one. Do it. I'm going to be there. I'm excited. I'm pumped. It's going to be online. So, which I'm also very excited about because a lot of the times we have folks who join us here for these ones and they go like, oh, I'm in so-and-so and I love being able to participate, but I'm not in Atlanta. So now there's Angelica. That's why we're doing it online. So yeah, there you go.
We're going to do it right from my studio. I'm going to get a couple to come in.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. And then Prudence and I are working on one as well and kind of even getting some of seeing the questions that y'all are asking here. Going to help to inspire us for what that next one is going to be as well. So we'll keep you posted. I've got everyone's contact info through the meetup group and all that. So Angelica, Prudence, thank you so much. I could do this for like another 3 hours, but
Yeah.
I do have to eat dinner at
This
some
was
point, I
good.
guess, whatever. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
thank you,
having
thank
me. It was
you.
awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Good seeing you.
Take
Talk to you
care.
soon. Bye. Have a good
Bye
night,
bye.
everybody.